something a little bit different. Instead of a board game, we're going to have a top 10 review, which we do every year. The top 10 games that we played this year. Well, that we reviewed this year.
Yeah.
A little bit of caveat.
In case you're wondering, I'm in pajamas because I was told we all had to wear them today to color coordinate. We never took any photos, and I'm still wearing mine.
And I'm wearing clothes.
And I'm also wearing clothes.
Mm-hmm. So
it's not that kind of video. So
yeah, it's not that kind of video. All right, so let's get started.
Well,
so
before we do, we got to talk about how many crossovers we think.
And there's something else they have to do before
don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nerdvana.
I remember.
Now, overlap. I think me and Randy are going to match 3.
Wow, that's low.
And for me and you, 2.
I'm going to go with 5 between you and me.
Did you see my list ahead of time?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to take it back. I'm going to go 4.
Okay.
And with you, you haven't been around as much this year. I'm still going to go 3, though.
I think I'll do 3 for both of you.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see how this flies. All right, so for number 10, I put Let's Go Japan. We had a lot of...
to Japan.
Whatever it is. It was fun. I had a lot of blast.
Mm-hmm.
I was super gorgeous. It was a little fun. And
A little fun?
It was a lot of fun. Okay. I remembered it. It was fantastic. He handed me the list, and I was like, I liked that one. Plus, it was. You could actually plan your Japan trip. Like, I still want to do that one of these days. And you like
the ceramic bowls I had.
They were absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, well, it was my copy.
It was his copy first. So that was my number 10 because it was a lot of fun. It was beautiful, and I now want to go to Japan. I did anyway, but now I really want to go to Japan. All right, what you got?
So my number 10 was Endeavor Deep Sea. It's a 2024 release. This is the first year where most of my list actually is from 2024. I don't have that many from previous years. Burnt Island Games. This is the follow-up to Endeavor, which we really love here. And this one, I don't know which one I like better. I'm still torn on that. I think there's aspects of this one I like better, and there's aspects of the original. So I basically put them both on par, but they love the game. So it is my number 10.
My number 10 was Windmill Valley. So I gave it an 8, and by Board and Dice, designed by Danny Garcia. I just really liked that rondelle mechanic that it had. So it was really fun.
Yeah. All right. What is your number 9, Rob?
My number 9 was Nova Roma. We gave it a really high score. We gave it a 9. At least I did. I think Randy did as well. 25th century game designed by Stan Kordonsky. Just such a cool game where it had that little bingo element to it, and you deployed family members to build and dominate sea routes and all kinds of cool stuff. So my number 9.
And it's Roman themed.
And Roman themed. So Nova Roma.
All right, Randy, what do you got for number 9?
This is another Board and Dice, like you mentioned earlier, but this was the other one from Gen Con release. It's Reef Project 2024.
See, that was on my list, but I think I like Windmill Valley a little bit better.
Well, we might find that I did too. We'll see.
Okay.
But Reef Project, I thought was a very interesting game where you, for whatever reason, traveled around in your boat polluting the oceans while in the pretext of cleaning the oceans. So, but yeah, it was a fun game. A lot of interesting strategies and lots of ways to score, which I really liked.
So my number 9 was Evacuation. It was really interesting to be trying to manage to get all your stuff over while generating stuff. Like, you had to make so many choices on, okay, do I move it now? Because if I do now, I lower my production. Do I have enough production where you don't stall? So I really enjoyed that resource management tension. I had a lot of fun with that one. So, moving on to number 8, Randy.
My number 8, this one is probably, I think, going to end up being on your list at some point, but this is Slay the Spire.
Could be.
Video game, it was translated. It's a very popular video game, translated to a very popular board game. A lot of people were seeking it out at Gen Con, much to my dismay. But I found myself getting hooked on the video game from playing the board game, and just enjoyed it a lot. So, made my list.
Okay, what about you?
My number 8 is my first Devere game. It's called Salt and Sea. I wasn't on the video, but I did play it, and I played it multiple times. I think I'd give it an 8.5 at the time. Again, published by Devere, designed by David Bernal. It's just a really tight worker placement game. I just really, really liked it.
So my number 8 is something I can't pronounce. So Randy.
It's Arborea.
That's the one.
It's about trees?
Well, not really.
No.
It's about strange creatures.
It's about strange creatures, and it's about, okay, because you place them on different tracks, but there's a timing mechanism, which I love the timing.
kind of like a conveyor
Well, you
belt.
like tracks.
Yeah, it's conveyors. Like, you have to time it right. Just like
Right.
Sulkin, there's a timing aspect to it. So it's the same with this. So you're going down the track, and the longer you hold, the bigger the stuff that
Right.
you get. But you got to be careful because you got to take on and take off things. And so the only slight issue was that sometimes the game can be really long, but I really enjoyed it, so it didn't really much matter. As long as you had people that actually knew how to take turns, then we're slow. But I actually really, really enjoyed it. Wish we could play it more. Anyway, that's going to be the story for all of these games, actually.
Right.
I wish we could play them more. 7?
Yep.
7 for me.
Sure.
So my number 7 is the most recent review we've done, which is Stellar Drift. We spent this whole Christmas weekend. That game was brought to the table. I don't know how many times. I know it was played at least 6 to 7 times, if not more. But yeah, everybody loved it who's played it. It's a really good roll and write, or it's actually a pull and write, but yeah, the same concept. And I really enjoy watching Miranda try rolling dice that have the same face on all sides every time she drafted.
Listen, it gives me enjoyment to roll dice, and I don't have to worry about it give me crappy dice. So there you
I got
go.
to play it the first time today. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a Mystic Tiger Games release, and I think this is one of their first releases. But yeah, right now it's not available in stores, so you have to wait a little bit to get it.
I know, Mom was like, hey, can we get a copy of this? And it's like, if it comes out. So here's hoping. What do you have?
My number 7 was Empire's End. I think I'm probably the only one who'll put it on this list because I don't know if you two cared for it that much. But I didn't do the review with you and Miranda, so I would have given it an 8.5. Published by Brotherwise Games, designed by one of my favorite designers, John D. Clare. It's just a super neat game where you have to really time how these buildings and get destroyed so that you get bonus abilities, but if you go too quickly you end the game and you lose out on points, and it's just really tight and neat game. I just was
Is that
really
the one
impressed
where
with
you
it.
have to destroy every... Oh,
Yes.
I hated
So,
that game so much.
One of us really liked the game.
Yeah.
The other one did not like the games, which means the one who likes the game never gets to play it.
Right. I really enjoyed it, and I kickstarted it. I was really happy with it, so that's my number 7. Empire's End.
And listen, I didn't like it because you couldn't maintain your buildings. Like, I would have been fine if I could have somehow, some way, kept my buildings. No, impossible.
Well, she hates anything that messes with her buildings.
It's true.
And
It's
so
true.
just,
I want
she
to
wants to be
build.
left alone.
I do.
All right.
And catastrophic events are not my fan.
Number 7, or your number 7.
So my number 7 is Carvey. So it's a Norse-related game. You basically go on an adventure, and you can either choose to go to different locations and either trade with them or conquer them, and steal their goods. And so for me, I had a lot of fun because you had to manage that battling aspect and gaining that kind of renown, and then the actual trading renown, and trying to integrate the two because obviously you needed both to get the best scoring. So it was definitely interesting and fun, not something that we see a lot, and so for me it just stood out. So yeah, that's my number 7.
My only grievance with the game is you couldn't trade with them, then conquer them, take your stuff back.
No, each location was
That's a Catan move. That's just rude.
Monopoly.
no, each location was either or. Or when you got to the location, it was either
Right.
you're allowed to trade with it. You go to another location, you were allowed to fight, which I'm actually okay with because that way I didn't have to make decisions because I would have traded all the way. Because I don't like destroying things, hence the previous thought process. Are we moving to number 6? Cool.
Yeah.
All right, I've got number 6. Number 6 is Blueprints, Mad King Ludwig, We've
That
played
almost
that.
made my list.
We've played that so many times. My little brother loves it, and I actually really enjoy it too. I actually think it's better than actual Mad King, because you can actually draw it and see it. I don't know, something about it. I think it's better than the actual original game.
That was another one that I got first before them.
So Blueprints definitely was a great game.
It was fun.
We've played it a lot this year. A lot of people have repeatedly requested it, so definitely.
The only problem is the colored pencils they give it, they suck.
Yeah.
But if you get a decent set of colored pencils to go with it, you're fine.
Well, the yellow you always have to just trace in gray and accept it, because that yellow's too light. All right, number 6, guys. Rob, what you got for 6?
This is my highest rated game, but it's still only number 6 because I don't get to play it that often. But a little crossover, Slay the Spire. So I gave it a 9.85. And so it's by Contingent Games, designed by Gary Dwotsky, Anthony Giovanetti, and Casey Yano. It's just an amazing deck building, monster slaying. That's about all you do is you deck build and kill monsters, and it's just such a satisfying game. It's so good.
Yeah. All right, what do you got for 6?
I have another crossover with Rob, which is Windmill Valley. So here's, like I said, I like it slightly better than Reef Project, and it's slightly higher on their list. So all the same stuff he said applies to what I would say here. So yeah, I like the fact that there's so many different ways to score in it, as I like in most of my games, and just it was a very beautiful, vibrant board, and the tulips I thought was really kind of layered on as far as the concept, but it still made
pretty.
sense. It was very pretty.
Very pretty.
Well, so it's funny you mentioned that because that's my number 5.
Hey,
So Windmill, like you said,
Windmill Valley.
Windmill Valley. It was a fantastic game. It was great. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. We played it multiple times, I think, that weekend. And again, another one we wish we could play more, but here we are. So, what do you got for 5, Randy?
My number 5, I'm sure will show up on your list, is Harmonies. So this is
I haven't got to play it yet.
You haven't played it yet? Oh, so it's a sort of like Tetris-y type game, but not Tetris-y. Azul-like game, yes. But you're basically building vertically. You're building it, and it looks like at the end you've got kind of I would say it's more like
landscape.
Well, it's a landscape, but it's kind of like if you were playing a game of that Minecraft, where you've got everything. But
it kind of reminded me of Cascadia too. It kind of had that look with the animals in it.
Not as so much. You're building a terrain, and you've got cards that have that patterns on them of things that have to be adjacent to one another, and then you get points for taking those and taking certain cards that do have animals on them and finding that pattern. So basically you're trying to allocate it such that you've got the maximized scoring for the terrain types and also meeting those animals'
I know
needs.
It's one of the hottest games of the year. People love it.
It definitely deserves it. It's as far as puzzle games, it's the number 1 for the year.
Absolutely, definitely. What do you have for 5?
Another crossover with Randy, Endeavor Deep Sea. So I gave it an 8.5. So I liked it quite a bit. Again, like Randy said, Burnt Island Games, designed by Carl Visser and Jarrett Gray. It's like the original. You recruit different tiles, and those tiles give you the ability to get different kinds of resources, and you exchange them. But the neat thing about Deep Sea that I like a lot is building out the different levels of the exploration. So there wasn't a whole lot of exploration in the first game, whereas this one there is. And I really like the exploration aspect of it.
Yeah.
So moving on to 4. Rob, what do you have for number 4?
Number 4 I got is Black Forest. I gave it a 9, published by Fuhrle and Spiel and designed by Uwe Rosenberg and Tito Lorenz. It's like Glass Road. It's just got a really good rondelle system, which I think is tweaked a little bit better than Glass Road. And it's just, I love the fact that you use one resource and it depletes other resources, and you really got to be really smart in how you manage those resources so you can build and get points.
Absolutely. All right, Randy, what do you have for number 4?
My number 4 was River of Gold. This is basically it reminds me very much of the Lords of Waterdeep. as far as the play style.
Right.
You're building buildings along a river, and you're traveling down and getting the benefits of where your boats land. And you can land on other people's locations and get perks, and they get a perk for you landing there. So it's very much like Lords of Waterdeep in that.
I think it's a little bit lighter, but I agree. It does give you those
it is a
vibes.
little lighter, but it does have a beautiful gold board.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just amazing. You lay it out, it's like, wow, it just shines. And it's set in the Legend of the Five Rings realm if you're into that. But another 2024 release from a company I've not heard before, Office Dog.
Right.
Yep. So now my number 4 we've heard before is Harmonies. So that one, like I said, we've played multiple times. We really enjoyed it. And again, it's that puzzle. It's that puzzle game. It was perfect. Definitely one needed to be up here, and that is the one for the year. Definitely by far.
I'm surprised it's that low for you. So I thought it would be one of your top 1 or 2.
Definitely not. There's too many good games this year.
Yeah, there were.
Number 3 for me is called Steffens. So basically, this is one. Stevens. There's a PH in there.
So it's still how you spell Stevens.
PHAT fat.
Yeah. So Stevens. Okay. So basically, this is where you go and you're building glass works and things like that, and so you have to hire workers and make sure you manage that. I really enjoyed this game. I beat Randy a lot, and that's
I haven't got to play it yet, but I really want to.
It is really good. It's actually really good. And so for me, again, it's another resource management, trying to get your workers, trying to get everything down. There's never enough actions. So I really enjoyed that for my number 3. What do you have for number 3?
My number 3 is my favorite DeVere game as of right now. It's The White Castle. Just really enjoyed it. Published by DeVere, and then designed by Ezra C. and Shay S. It's just an amazing worker placement resource management game where you get to explore Himeji Castle from whatever era it's from. But it's so good. And it's beautiful.
You have to drink Big Red with it when you're playing.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
I don't think so.
Old joke, but
yeah.
Yeah.
That was my number 3.
What do you got for number 3?
My number 3 is another crossover, Black Forest.
Oh.
So I love this game. It was a toss-up for number 1 on this. I had 3-way tie
almost.
So
good.
This one ultimately fell to 3 mostly because I had Glass Road, and because of Glass Road already being my possession, there's not enough of an increase, in my opinion, to make it justify going higher than the other 2.
Yeah.
But if those 2 hadn't released it here, it would have been the number 1. Because, I love the board moving and the different the attributes that were added to the Glass Road mechanics. So, another great win for UA Rosenberg.
Yep, really good.
Okay. All right, so moving to number 2. What do you have for number 2, Rob?
My number 2 is another crossover, River of Gold. So I gave it a 9.0, published by Asmodee and designed by Keith Pigot. It's just such a really good game of kind of moving your boat, collecting resources, and spending those resources to build buildings, and doing it strategically enough that other people land on them so you get those perks.
I should not have let you talk me out of the crossover. I should have stuck with my guns.
It's such a beautiful game. So, very cool.
All right, so my number 2 is Ezra and Nehemiah. That game, I love the building of the walls, trying to manage everything. That's just a good game, guys.
Such a good game.
It is such a good game.
You might hear it again.
You just might. And just overall, I love the theme. I love the managing of the pieces and but also where you end up setting your gates and different things like that. So it was a lot of fun for me. So that is my number 2. Randy, what is your number 2?
Well, you might be surprised with this, but it also is Ezra and Nehemiah. So, originally I think when we played it, I said this is a contender for number 1, and it probably would have been if I hadn't gone back down the list and realized what came out this year. So, it was one of our earlier reviews that hit the number 1 spot, but this one would have been number 1 otherwise. Right. It was such a great game. It incorporated the theme into the game really well. And, I still am awful at it, but I still love the game.
Yeah.
He is. I don't know what it is.
I never can take advantage of those, the neophytes or whatever, the ones that go in, you permanently put them on the board. I never do that. But then the other day, last time we played, I think I dominated with my strategy of in-game scoring. So there was that.
So, it's just it's a toss-up. What do you have for number 2, Rob?
We already did number 2.
Oh, so we're moving on to
Yeah,
number
we're
1.
moving on to number
Drum
1.
Well, do we want
roll.
to do honorable mentions before we go to number 1?
No,
Okay,
I don't have any.
there's that.
I didn't write any honorable
I
mentions
did.
down.
Well, I'm going to list mine then.
Well, fine.
So I had Star Tycoon. This was one that you and I played, and we were super impressed by it.
It was good.
I had Stevens. I had Empire's End, so overlap with
Yeah.
both of you guys there. And then this one I'm surprised you didn't have as an honorable mention, because you dominated me in it on the game we played, and you enjoyed it a lot. This is the only old game from my list, Checkpoint Danger.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it, honestly,
Yeah.
but it was a blast.
But yeah, it was a Battleship variant,
Yeah.
and you stomped me badly.
So, I don't have any honorable mentions, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
So, all the games I played this year were great because I have good taste.
Yeah,
They're all
exactly.
honorable.
All right, so number 1 for me was Black Forest. We've heard this multiple times, and I loved it. I love Glass Road when we played it, and then when we played this, I'm like, this is even better than Glass Road.
Right.
And it was absolutely fantastic. I had a blast playing it. We played it multiple times. I've enjoyed it. And I'm surprised some people that ended up playing it, I didn't think would love it, but they did, because it was such a good of a game.
This might be sacrilege to you two, but I think it's better than Agricola. I really like it. I know they're tongue-tied now. They don't know.
Well, here's the problem. If it was an app that I could play every day, maybe. But because I have to get out the physical pieces.
Right. Someday, maybe.
Now, if you tell me, all right, we're playing a board game, it's got to be an actual board game, I'd probably be like, yes, put Black Forest out. But if it's like, we could just sit in our PJs and sit on our
Comfy
couch
chairs
and play online and not have to put anything away.
Okay, I'm just.
I mean, hey, when it gets an app, sold.
Black Forest was fantastic.
Yeah. So that was my number 1. All right. Rob, what do you have for number 1?
My number 1 is Ezra and Nehemiah.
See,
so
another good one. Another
I
good
gave
one.
it a 9.5. Like Randy said, it's published by Garfield Games, designed by S.J. McDonald and Shem Phillips. I think it's probably, when Hadrian's Wall came out, that was my game of the year. That's also Garfield Games. And I think this is beating Hadrian's Wall. I like it that much. And it's just an excellent resource worker card placement game. And thematically, you're rebuilding Jerusalem, which is just very satisfying overall. It's just fun. It's just an amazing, really good game.
Yeah, it really is. Now, what do you have for number 1?
My number 1 is another overlap with Rob from earlier. I guess I liked it a lot, but this was with you. Sorry. Point away over here. Point over here.
And start over.
It's okay. So my number 1 is a crossover with you, and this was like one that was early in the year, but I love the game. Every time I played it, I loved it more. Evacuation from Rio Grande Games. This space theme, the whole idea of that game is just great. Your planet's depleting its resources. You have to get off of it. You're abandoning it. They incorporated that into the mechanics so well. Mm-hmm. That game is just a well-rounded game. It's a beast to set up.
It was good, though.
But it is
was good.
An excellent
It's
game.
worth
Really
it.
good.
It's worth putting it out. It's
Yes.
worth it. So, because there's some games you put out and you're like,
I liked it so much I got it. So.
yeah. But like with some games you put it out and you're like, man, that was like an hour's worth of work and you played for 15 minutes.
And there's 2 ways to play the game that play entirely differently. I mean, you can, there's 2 styles of gameplay on it, where you can play one way where the cards just act as action slots, or you can play the card based, and the style of the game plays differently whichever way you go. And I enjoy both of them, but I really like the card version better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, guys, that is our top 10 for the year. It's crazy.
Yep.
2024 is almost over.
Just a few more days.
Yeah, What is it? 6 more days? 6 more days of 2025. So overall, it's been a great year.
Yep.
Well, great year for games. We've got some good ones.
We got some good ones.
We got some really good ones. Well, guys, we'll catch you guys later.
Merry Christmas.
Come hang out with us again.
Bye.
Bye.